Welcome to the Creative AI Show. What do we have this week, Brian?
Hey Rosh, happy to be here. We are two creative guys talking AI, and I feel like the whole world of AI broke this week with this release of the latest Deepseek version, which I know you've got some insight on that we're going to chat back and forth, and kind of maybe dispel some rumors about it, just talk about it in general. And
Sure.
then, I had a really good week with the Captions app. Actually, one of the next videos I'm going to put up on our YouTube channel is going to be highlighting some of the features of it and just how great it was to use. It got me to pony up for another monthly subscription, so here we go. It better be
Oh, very
worth it.
good. Yeah.
Yes, and also I had another GPT win that I can talk to some of the creatives about in an area that maybe they're not so good at, which is legal. So
Ah,
not saying to use GPT for your legal, everything, but
yeah.
some
There's the
some
big the asterisk is right there
right. Yeah, exactly.
a few
Get the
times,
stuff
but
checked
yes.
by a lawyer, but if it gives you enough information to be dangerous, let's put you that way.
Very
So,
good.
how are you doing?
Good. I want to talk about the GPTs that are coming out in general. DeepSeek is on that list, so maybe we can incorporate some of that
Nice.
conversation together because there have been a few releases and expected releases. And I really do want to talk about January. We had our first full month of doing YouTube every day, and
Mm-hmm.
there were so many releases. I mean, the list is amazing. I can only imagine at the end of the year where we're going to be. I mean, one of them released updates twice in a month this month.
Right.
So I had the new update, then I had the new update, and we'll talk about those things when I get to that. So what do you
Yeah,
got
I
on
feel.
DeepSeek?
All right, so yeah, and well, obviously this week, the news came out that DeepSeek's new model. So you said you've been using DeepSeek for a while, right?
Yeah, quite a while. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And I
So,
like it. It's very smooth. It's almost it it's kind of funny. You know how that feeling when you're using the iPhone, just the movement of apps and how they open up versus Android. There's just
hmm.
something Apple about it that's
Oh, okay.
just more of a feel. It's that way between Google and OpenAI. OpenAI seems more Microsoft, go figure, and
Yeah.
Google seems more Macish, and so does DeepSeek. DeepSeek
Okay.
seems, but even simpler. Maybe if you think of a browser that's very simple, easy to use, and just does what it's supposed to do, and it feels good and does it well. DeepSeek has always been that way. And then, to your point, they open up soon after OpenAI's reasoning models. All of a sudden, they have a reasoning model, R1,
Right.
and it's amazing.
Well, then they were able to develop it at a fraction of the costs, and
Yeah, they say about $6 million.
right.
Absolutely.
But, this is where we're going to bring up a little bit of caveat here. And,
Yeah,
we're
right.
obviously coming here from a Western perspective, seeing as that's where we both live. But, there are concerns with DeepSeek, with obviously it being tied to, the Chinese government.
Yep.
Same kind of concerns that were coming up with TikTok with privacy. And, there's certain laws and rules there that, if a company gathers certain information, if the government requests it, they kind of have to give it.
Right.
So again, we want to, caution our audience, do not share any proprietary information on here.
Right.
Be extra diligent, but don't be afraid to use it. So, get in
Yeah.
there and use it.
And,
And
and here's one way you can use it without using it direct, and that's to use Perplexity, because Perplexity just incorporated DeepSeek in their
ah,
system. And so that's a big news event that happened the last couple days.
right.
And DeepSeek is a OpenAI. It's not OpenAI. OpenAI is OpenAI is a API that's available.
Mhm.
You can easily grab it and build your own thing with it. But to your point, that data can easily go directly back to the government, Chinese government. I don't know if Perplexity fully blocks that or no or not. I'm not sure. I'd have to dig deeper into that, but that was kind of how it was built.
Yeah, and I'm curious now if we were to try to go through Perplexity to use it, if you'd get some of those same responses. So, a lot of what I've seen screenshots and examples of people saying, asking DeepSeek, hey, make a joke about an American. And then, it'll do it. And then, you say, you'll then ask the same question, say, make a joke about a Chinese person or about the Chinese government. And it then comes back with a very strict answer of, no, we will not joke about this. This isn't funny. It could be perceived wrong. So, I feel like it's the anti-Grok, where Grok
Yeah.
is on the other end of the spectrum, where it's
Well,
wild, wild west.
here's another thing that has been reported a few times is that it insists it's ChatGPT. If you
It
ask,
will insist that it is ChatGPT?
yeah, yeah, because
Wow.
it's been thought that it was trained off of the answers of ChatGPT.
Okay, that's
And
fascinating.
so that, I have not had that result, but I've read that in a few articles a couple articles that was the case. So interesting how this is all going to work out. Interesting that they say it was so cheap, but it sounds
Right.
like it very well may be just because somebody already put all the money in and they call it, Chat GPT, and then they
Right. They
build
it
it.
trained off of the other people,
Right.
spending the money and then yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
also, yeah. So now it says that it's fully open source. So
yes.
you're someone who knows coding a bit more. So
Yeah.
talk to our audience a bit more what they mean by that.
So it's open source, and there are a lot of open sources, that meaning that you can download it even onto your own computer. You can create
Right.
your own version of it. They also released, I believe it's called Janus, which is the supposed to be the DALI 3 killer. Deepseek also has their image creator, but you
Mm.
can't create images directly within Deepseek itself. You have to go to someplace like a GitHub, or maybe Huggy Face or something like that, where you would download all of the files. So
Hmm.
open source means that, hey, it's open. Here you go. Here's all the information. And
Right.
DeepSeek is much more transparent. It shows you exactly how it's thinking in the
Hmm.
process. And that's been another big thing, and why it over the weekend became the number one downloaded app on Apple,
Absolutely.
because or last weekend, because it really did show us it wasn't just a black box. It actually showed you how it was thinking and the process was going through, and it did fascinate people in that way. And
Yeah.
so when you have an open source and an API, that means you're just paying for the data, the ability to use it, with their training. But again, all the coding, when you say it's open, is available. So yeah, probably
Right.
the
Yeah.
long roundabout, not straight to the point. Once again, Rosh answer.
That's fine. We always end up back on the same street, though. So we just sometimes take little sidewalks. But yeah, so it's pretty fascinating that there's different ways that it performs better or worse,
Mhm.
comparatively, and it's one of its strongest points is math. If you're
Yeah,
doing any sort of, very complex math
coding.
type issues,
Yeah,
it's performing benchmarking way, way above GPT and Gemini and all the ones that, we're used to talking about a lot. Also,
right.
just, in general, obviously in the Chinese language. So,
Yeah.
if you're someone who communicates in that language, then definitely would be potentially a better direction for you.
Yeah. And there's a new one out too. Alibaba has released Gwen 2.5 Max, which is supposed to be totally 100% rivaling DeepSeek. But back to your open source, a lot of times when you hear them say open source, that means you actually have to go do it. You actually have to build it, download all the files and do it. So that is the case with Janus. That is the case with Gwen with Alibaba.
Hmm.
And Janus is, I went to see some people have actually started running it within GitHub. There was a little section I tried to run it within. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. So I don't know if that was the real thing or not, because some people are saying it's great. But as we've talked about, DALI 3 really is not all that it's cracked up to be compared to
No.
the other things that we use on a regular basis.
Right. Yeah, I've actually started to deviate away from that in terms of creating images and stuff. Because I mean, if I need something that's like looks like it's in the fantasy world and stuff like that, then yeah, Dali all day. But when you want realism, there's Grok or Claude, a lot of the other ones that you've been talking about for a while.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right. So talking about you, wanting to mention all the different GPTs that have been coming out this past month.
Yeah,
It's been a
so
busy month.
we kind of just had that discussion, so I'll keep this part short. But DeepSeek R1,
Hmm.
Gwen 2.5 with from Alibaba. That's in the last couple of days. People are going to hear this a few days later, so give pad the timing with a few days. But also, Google Gemini 2.0 is official, and that's
Hmm.
out now, and that's within the last. So consider when you hear this, the end of last week, all this stuff came out. And Google Ask for Me is is out, and you can go on the waiting list, and basically it's a easy way to ask Google to, hey, go find the best price, call around, find the best price on
Hmm.
this, or if you need information on something, you can ask Google, and it will like literally call the companies and say, I have somebody who's looking for the best price, or what's your price, or something about the businesses, and they'll
Wow.
come back and tell you what it found after it called everybody. So it's called Ask for Me, and that was just released. So, and then of course we have Chat GPT, the O3 reasoning model, which will be available to everyone as the mini version, which is supposed to be smarter than the O1, and of
Hmm.
course Deepseek R1 and everything, and faster. So that should be coming out this Friday, today when we're recording this. I should probably stop saying that, but that's when we're recording it. And so
Couple days
anyway,
ahead.
the point being is that the thing is, this stuff comes out so fast. I feel obligated, because if I act
Hmm.
like this is breaking news, somebody listening to this, next Wednesday is like, man, they're a week behind.
Yeah, I mean, eventually we'll probably go live with this show because the way stuff drops is like it
Yeah,
does.
this really is. Yeah, we've been talking about going
Hmm.
live on Mondays, and I think we just might have to do that,
Yeah,
just due to the nature of the type of podcast we have going. All right,
right.
what do you have next?
All right, so yeah, I subscribed to a brand new program to really help me with some video editing, and I've got a lot of projects going on with my clients right now, and short form video, vertical video, that's all the rage these days, and companies are realizing that their marketing budgets are shrinking a little bit, and they're not spending these huge dollars on these high end productions when they're realizing that social media style videos can be just as impactful. And actually, you really don't want to have that much polish on these videos. They need to feel real. And one of the programs that I've started to use is called Captions. And this is one of the most known programs for a while. And there's so much AI built into this program that I felt inclined to definitely talk about it today.
Sure.
It really is great in the fact that I um, the main thing that I used it for was my client that I was interviewing. I put him on I created a graphic background, kind of did a
Mhm.
green screen kind of deal where he was on the bottom. And, it was about 10 different points we were trying to film that day. And instead of him memorizing every single script, I illuminated the script and put it up next to the camera. And naturally, his eyes were darting back and forth reading. And I was like, you know what? Don't stress about that. I've got a program that can fix that. And, I knew that there were a few out there, but I hadn't used any yet. And the one that I settled upon was Captions. And it really did a great job. So, well, by the time this is produced, hopefully we'll have one of the ones, my shorter videos up on the YouTube page to show exactly what I'm talking about right
Yeah.
now. And so that was one function of this program, and that was the main reason I downloaded this program was for that function. But then once I got into it, I realized that it can do so much more for each of these videos that it really is fantastic the way it's using AI technology to say, for example, obviously the program is called Captions.
Yep.
And we know that when people watch Instagram or Facebook Reels or TikToks, a lot of times people are watching them silently. Maybe they're hanging out while the rest of the family is watching TV and they're just on their phone mindlessly. And these videos that have not just the captions written on it, but the captions done in different styles that they're meant to be engaging. They pop, they move, they, have all
Yeah.
this
Highlight.
motion to them.
Yeah.
And being a video editor, I know that behind the scenes, if I were to try to do this for my clients and actually animate these the captions on the screen and everything, it would take so much work. And at the end of the day, it really wouldn't even look that good because, I'm okay at that, but that would be very difficult. Whereas this program, you've got 40 plus different caption styles. Every single one of them you can manipulate with a brand guide, a brand kit that you can upload. And to get the brand kit, all you have to do is put in the client's website. And it'll go then and scrape the website for the colors, the fonts, and different things like that. And then it'll apply those to the caption that goes on the video.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and what's great about it is if it doesn't grab the exact color, what you can do is actually just throw, say in this video, the screen was right there. I could do that little dropper where you go and float over the color and then choose the color from the actual video that I uploaded that already had all the branding. So, there's ways to do it to make sure that, you're using the exact, branding, the colors, the font, and everything that matters. And that's another function in here. There's also, you can generate full talking videos and ads just off of different characters by uploading scripts in here. And they've got a whole library of real characters in here that are actual real people who have talked for 3+ minutes. It's able to generate their mannerisms and everything like that. So it's really fantastic. So, again, it got the $10 a month out of my pocket for this because it's going to be well worth it. And again, $10 a month for this kind of technology to say, take this video that would have been two plus hours of editing and have me get it done in 6 minutes.
Nice.
Um, $10 a month back in my pocket right
Yeah,
there.
that's
So
right. Yeah.
exactly. So, I mean, have you done any short form video, editing with captions or anything like that?
Not with Capture. I've not used that at all. So I'm looking forward to seeing your video when it comes
Yeah.
out because that's one I've not used. I have used some other platforms that have it kind of as part of the
Hmm.
system. I just did a video on 7 things that you didn't know about Kling in a sense. And one of the things that they do have is lip syncing in there, and I thought
Oh,
that
yep.
was interesting. But that not the things that you're talking about necessarily. So yeah, this is kind of new to me.
Yeah, it's really cool. And one thing that it's a technology that is AI that I didn't even mention it because now it's become so commonplace for us, but its ability to listen to what my client said and get the captions right.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, he's a well-spoken client, so he speaks, very clearly. But even grammatically, it was correct. There
Nice.
were, commas and periods and capital letters, and were certain words emphasized, and it chose the right word to emphasize, and all of that. So I was pretty impressed by it. I will say.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah. So throwing it back your way, I know
Yeah.
we talk a lot. I almost want to apologize to our only audio listeners here that we talk so much about the YouTube page, but we're just so darn excited about it because we
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
think it's getting our word out there. So yeah,
It
let's talk.
is. It really is. And people are starting to engage more, and
Hmm.
we're getting subscribers, and this is where I think our growth will be,
Hmm.
which is helping all our other socials at the same time.
Absolutely.
So in our first month, we had a lot of platforms that just upgraded and came out with new features, and we talked about a lot of them on the YouTube channel. And I did just get, and I was very excited, access to Adobe Firefly's video, which I had not had access to. It was
Okay.
announced a
Yeah.
few months ago, and I've been waiting for it. I'm waiting for that as well as Google's video. That has not been available to me yet. I'm still on the waiting list there. But I got the Firefly, and that was great. And I did a video on that. But at the same time, we had Polo AI, that's one that actually is a kind of an aggregator. They have their own AI video generator, but they also have in that same platform Kling, Runway, as well as the others that that you may be interested in. Minimax is a part of that, and they have the different levels. So that's one of those where you have to watch out because sometimes they charge you a little bit more for those other platforms, but they're all in one spot.
Right.
And
A
so
little
it's
bit of convenience charge
yeah,
there.
you
Yeah.
pay a little convenience charge. But Polo did a really good job compared to some others like Kling and Pika, where
Yeah.
they were just really, you know, doing great. Lumen Labs released Ray 2. We had Grok 2. We had Pika Effects. Of course, Operator and tasks in the
Yeah.
ChatGPT world were big. Kling Elements. They're really expanding the things that you can do. The tools that allow you to combine images and then turn them into a video. All the
Yeah.
platforms seem to be going. That was what this month, the theme I think of this month was really that, especially on the video side,
Hmm.
was upload multiple videos. We'll take those key elements and put them in one video for you. Just prompt us on what it is. And it's amazing, absolutely amazing. And I have a couple of videos related to that. And one platform. updated twice, and that was Pika. Pika, the big release 2.0, and then 3 weeks later, 2.1. And it doesn't sound like a big deal, but it was, Pika has point one, they are one, 1.5, 2, and 2.1. They've had four releases, and two of
Wow.
them happened within the same month.
Yeah, and one of the things I love that you're doing about these videos is you're not just showing off one program at a time all the time. A lot of times you're doing a comparison. Hey, which one's
Yes.
better? Give it a similar prompt. We got a little A/B comparison. And
Yeah.
what that's going to allow the creatives who are watching our show to do is say, hey, there's not necessarily a winner of each
Yeah.
of these. They
Right.
have their own merits and their own, own points of why to use them. So it's up to our audience just to be educated of, hey, this is how each of these work. And
The right
oftentimes,
tool for the job.
right,
You make a great point. What's the right one to use? When do you use Pico? When do you use Kling?
right. And oftentimes people get comfortable with what they're using. I'll fully admit I'm very comfortable with ChatGPT and I know that world and it's the one that I go to. And what I love about seeing some of these other programs in use is that seeing somebody else doing it first kind of like is like, not being the first person to jump in the pool at the
Yeah.
party. It's like, all right, no, he's already doing it. We're cool. This is good. Let me give it a try. So
Right.
I appreciate that and I appreciate you motivating me to, create some of the videos and sharing some of the stuff I'm doing behind the scenes. Uh,
Absolutely.
I kind of take for granted some of the stuff that I do that, hey, some people might find this pretty interesting.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. All right. So you have a Chat GPT win. What do we
I
got
did,
there?
yeah. I'll try to make this quick. I know this episode's getting on a little long here, but we unfortunately we had to move forward to a former client of ours to press them a little bit in small claims, and
Mm,
you know I have legal counsel, and I spoke to her, and she pretty much was like, Bryon, if you really want to pursue this, we end up fighting anything in court, you'll probably end up paying me more than you would get back.
yeah, right.
And I was like, you know what, that's fair. I appreciate your honesty. I'm spiteful to a degree, but I'm not that spiteful to where I want to empty my banking account on it. So, my wife and business partner, she's pretty feisty when we've been done wrong. And, she's like, you know what? I'm going to just have a full on conversation with ChatGPT about what I need to do to take care of this in small claims.
Yeah,
And, oftentimes people represent themselves in small claims. They don't always have legal counsel. Maybe they'll
right.
have somebody that they can just, chat with really quick. But to our creative audience, if you are really good at the creative side of the business, then sometimes on the other side of the business, sometimes, maybe an agreement wasn't so good or a relationship, goes or a company goes under, like in this
Yeah,
situation. And you need to know how to protect yourself in business, and if you're more of a creative, use these tools to help you on the business end of things. And this is a perfect example where we got the directions, the step by step, and most importantly the confidence to really pursue this and hopefully pursue it well.
yeah. Very good. Well, that sounds
Yeah.
like a win. I mean, that's true. And when you're dealing with the outside world as a creative, having somebody you can talk to about copyright issues,
Yeah.
how you
Right.
can follow up, is it a good idea to take somebody to court or not? Sometimes it's just a good starting point.
Yes.
And often, the AIs will say, and now consult a professional, which
Yeah.
is right. But at least you can go in with that professional with some good sense of what's going on, or should you even bother? Once maybe sometimes the facts are laid out, or you may not have realized how many rights you actually have. And so that's
Yeah.
important to know too.
Yep. Yeah. And even if you're hiring someone, if you want to determine whether they are a W-2 or a 1099 employee or,
Right.
just HR kinds of questions. And again, we'll always say, consult with an HR professional, and GPT will say the same thing, but at least it gives you enough info to be dangerous to start.
Excellent.
Very
So
good.
at the end of our show, we are two dangerous guys.
Ooh, two
Ooh,
dangerous AI
we're
guys.
two
I like
creative guys
it.
talking AI. We'll talk to you next week.
We'll see you next week.